Hello ladies, it's Mr. O'Sullivan. Today we're going to be looking at how to reflect over a diagonal. So today's learning target is, I can use reflections to transform points and figures on the plane. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning how to reflect over y equals x and y equals negative x. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reflect triangle ABC over the line y equals x. So if you look triangle ABC, where A is 1, 2, B is 3, 4, and C is 1, 5 is already plotted. Only thing is I forgot to put the A on this point. So I put the A there right now. And the first thing we want to do is we want to reflect this over the line y equals x. And if you remember, when we learned how to reflect over the y-axis, the x-axis, and our Huivux lines, or our special lines, we just counted. So we're going to just do some counting today. So the first one we're going to count for is the point A. So if we look, A is 1 away from a point. So we're rising down 1, but the thing is, remember, whenever you're rising, we also have to run. So now that we rose 1, we're going to run 1. So A is going to be right here. B is going to be the exact same situation. We rose 1, and now we're going to run 1. So B prime will be right here. I'm going to do some erasing. And now we have A prime and B prime clearly labeled. What we now want to do is we want to do C prime. So we've just been doing jumps down, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump to the right because I can actually run if I wanted to. So C is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 away from my line, y equals x. So now that I ran, I have to run. Now that I ran, I have to rise down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. C prime is going to be right here. I'm going to erase all my jumps, and I'm going to show you another way you could have done it. I'm going to actually connect my points first. So I'm going to connect these. Now that we started with a triangle, we're going to end with a triangle. And if you look, we just plotted triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. So there is another way of doing this if you wanted to. You could just simply count how far away your point is from the line. So if you look, the point B is half away from the diagonal. It's not a full jump. So we're going to jump another half, and boom, that's where B prime is. If I want to move the point A is also half away from my diagonal, so I'm going to jump another half. And then C is 1, a half, another half, so 2 jumps now, so 1, 2. So that's another way I could have done it. I could just count how far away my point is from my diagonal and then do the jumps that way. Let me do some erasing to make it look much nicer. And that's all we're doing today. All you're doing is you're just going to now basically come up with your rule. Ooh. Oh, 1 second. So now what we want to do is we want to write down what these points are as ordered pairs. So if I look at A prime, I went out 2 and up 1. So this is the point 2, 1. If I look at B prime, I go out 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I go up 1, 2, 3. So B prime is 4, 3. And C prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I go up 1, so 5, 1. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice writing this transformation using reflection notation. So in word problems or any question, I'm not going to say, oh, reflect over the line y equals x. I can just do this. I can say, reflect using this notation. So we always write a lowercase r. That doesn't look like an r. We always write a lowercase r, and we then write the line we're reflecting over. So I can just do this, y equals x, as like my little subscript. And if you want to be really fancy, you can then write triangle A, B, C. And you would say that you're reflecting triangle ABC over the line y equals x. So the coordinate mapping rule for this transformation simply says that I start with my ordered pair x comma y. That's my existing pair. And once I perform my reflection over y equals x, what rule am I actually following? So if I look at my answers from above, I started with a 1, 2, and then I got a 2, 1. I started with a 3, 4, and then I got a 4, 3. Started with a 1, 5, and then I got a 5, 1. So I'm really just switching my y value and my x value. And that's all you would be doing. So whenever you reflect over the line y equals x, all you're doing is switching your x values and your y values. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reflect over the line y equals negative x. You can do the exact same way where you just count how far away your image is from your diagonal, or you can do the rise and run method. So if you rise, you then have to run. If you run, then you have to rise. Look, Mr. O'Sullivan forgot to put the point A here yet again. So I'm going to put the point A here one more time. So we want to reflect it over the line y equals negative x. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So I rose 3. So now I have to run 3. So 1, 2, 3. Boom, that's my new point. Let me do my erasing. And that is A prime. Now let's do B prime. So B prime is going to be 1. I'm going to run this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I ran 7. Now I have to rise down 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's where B prime will be. I'm going to do my erasing. And now we're going to do C prime. So I'm going to do my run again. So I ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then now that I ran, I have to rise down 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's C prime. I'm going to do my erasing, and I'm going to connect my points. So now let's connect our points with a straight edge. And if you look, we just reflected that line over, that image over the line y equals negative x. Our next thing we're going to do is we're going to label our ordered pairs. So A prime became negative 1, negative 2, negative 1. So negative 2, negative 1. B prime became negative 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So negative 4, negative 3. And C prime became negative 5, negative 1. So now if I want to write this transformation using reflection notation, we'll do the exact same thing we did above, where we just write down reflection over the line, so y equals negative x. And then to be fancy, you can then write triangle ABC. And it would just say that you're reflecting triangle ABC over the line of y equals negative x. Now, last but not least, if I want to write my coordinate mapping, I start with my xy, so I always start with xy. And then after performing this reflection over y equals negative x, let's look at our final answers. Well, if I started with a 1, 2, and then got a negative 2, negative 1, so I went from positive to negatives for both situations. If I started with a 3, 4, I ended with negative 4, negative 3, so still did a flip and became negative. And for C, I started with 1, 5, and then ended with negative 5, negative 1. So I still did another flip, and I made everything negative. So what I can say is I'm going to switch my x and y's. So I'm going to have y comma x. But this time, they're both going to be opposite. So my y becomes negative, and my x becomes negative. And that's your rule. So these are rules you have to memorize. You have to memorize when I reflect over y equals x, I have to just switch them. I have to memorize when I reflect over y equals negative x, I switch them and I make them opposite, so I negate them. All right? Don't forget to do your delta math. If you have any questions, please email me.